Hello and welcome. This is rooflemonger, my friends. This is your choose a main guide for Avatar Legends, the fighting game. So in this video, we're going to be going over all the playable characters at launch. There will be DLC characters. Check the channel for updates when they launch. But for here at launch, we're going to be going over everybody here from the popular Avatar franchise. Now, you might notice, okay, there's maybe not as many characters here as some other fighting games you might know, but don't let that fool you. Every character has 3 support characters, and these support characters wildly change how they play, to the point where certain support characters basically turn your character into an all-new character at that. So we're going to be going over every character and their supports as well to show you what they're all about, and we're just going to go over everyone in some depth. So that said, this will be a longer video, so there's going to be timestamps so you can skip forward to whoever makes sense for you. Since there is timestamps, hey, leave a like. It helps out the video a lot. Thank you very much. Now, we're going to start with one of our protagonists here, and that will be Korra. Now, so why are we talking Korra first? Shouldn't I start with Aang? Well, Aang, despite being nominally the face character of the game, is actually one of the most difficult characters in the game. Whereas Korra is easily like the most standard traditional fighting game character. She has the fireball. She has the uppercut. Like, she has the usual fighting game all-rounder 101. And thus is very easy to use. Now, this game being this game, she's still very unique in a lot of different ways, but she makes the most normal fighting game sense, if you will. So even though Korra's the all-rounder, there's some stuff to her, like that projectile, right? That's her heavy projectile, the air blast. So she also has light and mediums, which are water blasts, which do not go quite as far, but they have follow-ups. So if we follow up a water blast with a light, then she'll do 2 smaller projectiles. If we do it with a medium, she'll do a giant icicle dive kick. And if we do a heavy follow-up, she'll do a big old kind of kicking overhead attack, which will temporarily freeze the enemy. Now, I say temporarily because it can actually outright freeze the enemy. And then you can actually combo after the fact. So how did I do that? Well, she has basically an avatar meter here. That's actually in the top left. And if we can sing along, folks here, water, earth, fire, air. Hey, wait, that's from the show. I remember that, right? So if you can basically fill the elements in that exact order. So right now we've already filled water, and next we'll fill earth, then we'll fill fire, and then we'll fill air, and boom. Now you can say it's all lit up, right? We'll have a temporary avatar power up. And your next special move, whatever the special move may be, will get powered up from there. And some of them are very strong. Like one move she has here is just jumping, quarter circle, back, attack, right? And it's just a quick little attack. And also, to help with her just pressure and mix up here, you know, she has like crouch light low. This, if you do it just very low to the ground, can be an instant overhead. Like you just have to block the standing. So as you meet in your face, guess low, guess overhead. And it's so fast you basically have to guess. However, if it's empowered, once we have water, earth, fire, and air in a combo, so now with that power up, oh, it doesn't knock down. So normally, you know, quick overhead, sure, but it knocks down. With this, doesn't knock down. And now, oh, I get a full combo off that instantaneous overhead because I have that power up. That's really, really strong. And basically, all your moves get power-ups. Like, say if you use that just basic projectile, the heavy version, the air blast, right? All of a sudden, now that bounces. Does not bounce normally. So basically, your next special move, whatever it is turbocharge. Now, don't worry, you don't lose your place if you will. So if you have water, and then you do a fire or whatever, your water's still good. Like, it only cares that you have it once, and it'll forever build up in sequence. So, generally speaking, once you have 3, okay, you really want to aim for something air, which can be either the projectile, or it can be that instant overhead. That also counts as air as well. Whatever it is, just build up, and you'll have that powered up state. And she's the avatar and also can have avatar state. And when you're in avatar state, all your moves have these properties until the avatar buff runs out. And as you can see here, if you manually enter it, it takes a while. This is actually one of her supers. It takes a while. So you can kind of bulldoze people, basically. And also, when you're just building up your elements, keep in mind certain moves, when you EX it, it changes the element. So jump, course, go back heavy is a fire attack normally. Or if you do medium or light, they're air attacks. But if you do the enhanced version, it's a water attack, right? And EX projectile, if you do the follow-up, is technically all 4 elements, right? It's water, earth, fire with the follow-up, and the initial hit's wind. So you're either building to it or you're gonna either just get it out of the gate. One of them, so really handy. Also, everyone can chain a light, right? And the second light is unique to each character. Hers is actually really good because it hits abnormally far away, like much further away than like her actual dedicated buttons. So if you're like just looking to hit people, like just hit light. It actually is faster and longer range than some of her other buttons, just FYI. Yeah, Korra's just full of fun traits. Again, too, we talked about the uppercut. She has it. It's a true uppercut. It's invincible. There's very, very few invincible moves in this game, just FYI. So it's worth its weight in gold. But also, just stuff like this, Korra's Go Back series here. So big old just flips, and the uppercut is the heavy version. But some of these are chargeable. So like, say these get blocked, right? They're just good for like going over neutral, whatever. They're negative. But if you charge them as a flame attack now, and they're both plus on block now. So if you're looking just for a way to kind of scream your way in, this is a fantastic way to do it. Doubly so because they launch. And naturally enough, if it launches, hey, you can get combos after the fact and not for damage either. Also handy for certain combos, as the charge version can rebalance the enemy, and then you just keep comboing after the fact as well. So depends on the situation, but it's another tool in the toolbox. Speaking of tools in the toolbox, Korra has a pretty decent movement with her flow, as she has a air dash based off her backwards flow, and also her back and heavy. She'll just kind of jump backwards into a pillar, and then she has multiple attack options from it, not the least of which is also the air dash. Also keep in mind, when you're in the avatar state, by the way, that air dash just becomes a normal part of your move set. So your mobility goes through the roof, and you don't have to pay with it with your health like certain other high mobility characters do. Now, while we're on this, actually, so the avatar state is part of her super. It's her 4-meter super. It does hit. Then you get the buff for a while. You can see the bar. But also, when you're getting beat up, when you are lower health, then you also get a temporary avatar state. It's not the same one. As you see, it barely lasts anything, right? But you will be turbocharged for free, basically. So it's really good. And we keep talking about how many options she has here, right? She also has a command grab. And the command grab doesn't do too much damage, but it does drain the enemy's flow gauge. And you can also get some pretty decent combos after the fact as well. So if you're just looking for some extra damage and, you know, a little bit of a grappler aspect, there is that. Now, it takes meter to do. It ain't free. But considering, you know, she has fireballs, she has almost the game's only traditional uppercut, and all the other things we're talking about, like, that's great. So that's Korra. She's just kind of a grab bag of abilities, a great all-rounder. But then, hey, let's talk the support characters. So she has 3. We have Rava, which is longer avatar state. That's mostly self-explanatory. Tonrak with improved EX follow-ups, and Naga with better flow movement. So for improved avatar state support, it is basically as it sounds. In fact, it's so improved, you basically stay in it forever. Your meter doesn't really drain. Also, the actual activation launches a bit higher, so there's new combo potentials. But if you really like the avatar state and, like, you know, the extra mobility, the fact that your moves are always the buffed version of the move, which is very valuable, as it just lets you do more damage, lets you have more combos, lets you do more everything and better, right? That's really, really strong. The only thing is, when you do these enhanced moves, it takes some of your gauge. So, like, you're not going to be in avatar state forever, but it doesn't drain normally. But every time you do an empowered move, then it'll take a little bit of that bar. Also, entering the state when you're low health enters earlier and it lasts just a little bit longer. So if you like the fancy version of Korra, you get to be the fancy version longer. So with Tonrak, one of the unique things that she can do, and this is across all the versions, but she can double enhance moves. So whatever you're doing, just hit more buttons after the fact and she'll do additional follow-ups. This is just kind of one of the benefits of the character, which is great. However, if you're not Tonrak, it takes an insane amount of your flow gauge to do these follow-ups. With Tonrak, the gauge is just super minimized. You barely spend anything. Also, her downflow. So her downflow has an attack follow-up, which also normally takes an insane amount of your flow gauge. Less so with Tonrak. As you now do combos after the fact, as you can just do your burn dive kick, get your juggle, and just kind of do whatever you want after the fact, right? So basically, it lets you do a lot of your existing stuff, but it just adds more sass. It just takes way less of your resources to do so. And Naga, that's our big polar bear dog. So it's the least sexy of the three, but it's still very useful. So one, it wildly cuts the cost of all flow cancels. So if you're big into flow cancels for combos or for mobility, like that's very handy. Also, her ignition run here, just forward flow, because she does not have a traditional run, just has the dash, right? It lets it be canceled into just moves. So normally, you cannot do that, like at all. You have to wait for the move to finish. You can cancel into a jump, that is it. So this, if you're just looking to like scream in and attack, this lets you now just do your flow run, if you will, and attack with it. Probably bonus avatar state's probably the most useful, just because you're gonna be using avatar state as part of the character, and it's where a lot of the fun and a lot of the power is. But hey, use it however you want. But yeah, so super all-rounder character, has fireball, has uppercut, reversal, and one of the only invincible moves in the game at that. Has a command grab, even if you gotta spend meter for it, but that's nice. And by the way, when you're in the avatar state, it does not cost meter, FYI. Just one of the best all-rounder characters. If you're looking for like the most traditional fighting game experience that your skills in other games can translate directly over to, Korra is probably that character for you.
Didn't want to do it.
Now let's talk Aang. So compared to Korra, who is more of a traditional fighting game all-rounder, Aang, despite being the face of the game, definitely is a very specific archetype in that he's high mobility and lots of mix-up potential, because this boy can just kind of go, as you can see here, right? If you're looking for, I guess we would call it tri-dash, triangle jumps, or whatever that kind of stuff, you know, in versus style fighting games, like those quick dashing instant overheads. Yes, Aang is very much that character. His ability to high-low you with the 50-50 is very, very, very powerful. That said, though, it's not like he has a weak neutral or like weak other game plan. Like the mobility is definitely the thing, but he's got some stuff. Like his range is actually pretty big. Like all things told, like his stand heavy hits from like this far away. That's not nothing. And he can also charge it and it hits even further away in wall splats. And if it wall splats, then you get combos. Like you can put the boots to the enemy basically. So it's good. And like his air normals are pretty big range, gigantic. Like that's just jump heavy, by the way. And that's like half the screen. And given the fact that he has like very easy options, by the way, like this here, that says down heavy. Like it can be difficult to anti-air because of weird angles it hits at, and then he can just smoke you on the other end. And if it's fully charged, it will leave you standing. So he'll just get the full shebang when it comes to combos. So now let's talk some of his specials here. So one is air scooters, just quarter circle forward and one of your attack buttons. And just like the show, he'll just kind of ride forward on a ball of air. And if he hits you, great. And if not, and you block it, then he'll just sort of bounce off. And mostly safe-ish, depending on the character. And one of the really fun things about this is if you hit a button before he hits the opponent, he'll cancel it into a jump. So if you look like I'm going to hit you on this side, it can actually be, whoops, shut up block cross up silly, because Aang gets to mix you like that. And the heavy version, you can cancel into a jump after the fact, and that's when we get those air combos that we saw earlier. Be careful doing these too close to a wall though, because Aang might bounce off the wall and hit it himself. Now you can cancel it before it happens, but just pay attention, otherwise you're going to bonk yourself. Now quarter circle back attack special is interesting. So it's just a big old bonk with the staff. And again, his range is pretty okay. The light version is just quick, good for combos. The medium version is a little bit slower, but also much safer on block. And the heavy version is what's really interesting. Because a big slower hit and then that happens. So notice he'll just immediately put himself airborne and the wind gets summoned. So that's one of the things he can do is he can summon the wind. And he can summon it in multiple moves in multiple directions. And basically, depending on what you're doing, it can be easier or harder for you or the opponent to move against the wind. So in this case here with the heavy, he'll move himself forward, and with the wind summon just for a little bit, I can use this to create combos, especially because of the fact that it OTG, so if they're on the ground, it'll hit. And just sort of get my combo, right? So summoning the wind can hinder the opponent or help your combo structure. There's a lot of ways, and again, he has a lot of moves that does it. And keeping with his aerial motif as well, of course, forward in the air, basically just has lots of angles. He can just dive right down at you. The heavy version is a big dunk. There's a lot to work with. And he's also got some stance stuff going on here, like his down flow. So like many down flows, it will low profile high attacks, but it's also a stance in that he has moves from it. Like if you hit light, a very, very long range low. He also has a rising attack, which can lead to some very interesting combo structures, as you can get some pretty interesting stuff going on from it. And also heavy is just another jump. So it's another way for him to kind of just create a lot of like, where am I going, right? Because I can hit you low from this, or I can go up in the air, dive in, then like fast fall. That's another thing he can do, by the way. So he has all these like different like glider angles, depending on which directions you're hitting. And also if you just hit down flow in the air, he'll just fast fall down. So if I'm up in the air and just go in, like go for a throw, go for a low, go whatever, it's very difficult to block him. Also, this kind of moves him perfectly with his forward flow, which is another stance. So he has multiple things here, like these very long range attacks here. That's just light. This is heavy, by the way. Yeah, that's full screen. Like, this hits like from a gigantic distance away. Now, this is duckable, by the way, but he doesn't have a traditional projectile, but his ability to reach you is unmatched. And then if we have medium, this is the fun one. So this is an overhead. Also, this overhead is plus on block. So if I'm doing like whatever, like all command normals are cancelable. So for medium here, this overhead, that's cancelable no flow. So I can go overhead, overhead. And you have to stand block both these guys or you're getting hit. And then if you block this one, then it's also still my turn because it's plus on block. And then again, same logic here, right? So, okay, overhead, overhead. So now how about this? Overhead, fast fall low. What? Because again, forward flow, overhead, right? I can cancel this in any flow move, and any flow can cancel no flow. So forward flow, fast fall we talked about. So am I going for the overhead? Am I going for like a low? Am I going for a throw? Or am I going to go for like, no, this, cancel, and then go for another over? Like, you gotta guess. His mix-up ability is very, very strong. By the way, Aang can also enter the avatar state. It's a little bit different than Korra, but he has to basically lose a round and get all 7 of his meters, but then he can also be temporarily buffed as the avatar. Okay, so now what about the support? So basically, it's all gonna be in service of the mix one way or another, because mix is what the character is. So Monk Gatsu, he gives better air scooters, Appa gives more flow cancels, and Momo gives better gliders. Let's talk about it. So with Momo, when you're doing your gliders, and gliders is all your air flow options, right? Basically, your ability to like kind of just change the momentum is better. And if you're just looking for like mix and like odd angles, that's already good. Also, this is very important for people who want like the power of like instant overheads, right? He's allowed to attack out of the glider faster than the other 2 support characters. So if you're just looking for like the fastest possible test people's like reaction times on certain moves, then Momo is it, because he gets to attack out of these glider attacks the fastest out of everybody. And even if it's just a few frames, that's the difference between someone blocking overhead fast enough or not. Because you can be very quick and just very brutal with this kind of offense. So Momo, at bare minimum, is like a blunt force sledgehammer for this kind of mix-up. So Appa's all about flow cancel. So now things that are not flow cancelable, like say standard normals, like medium or heavy, those are now flow cancelable. They were not before. So now, say your block string gets blocked, you can just low cancel it and just try to work your way in. So that's very powerful. And then also your forward flow attacks, like this, that's also flow cancelable now too. Because now I can do that. I can make you block cross up as well. Or I can fast fall, or I can do whatever shenanigans I want, basically, right? So if you want more shenanigans, Appa's your guy. And Monk Gyatso is all about the scooters. So one, you now have proper control over the scooters. So if you just want to mess around a little bit, now you can. Great. Also, you can jump from the scooters faster. So there's a bit of a minimum time before you can jump. So that time's heavily reduced if you are with Monk Gyatso. Also, the light version just passes through the opponent. It doesn't hit anymore. So if you're looking to mix people up, like, whoops, did you block that? No, you didn't. Don't you lie to me. You did not block that. Because first time you see that, how could you block something like that? Like, that's impossible. Like, I pass through you, then hit you on the other side, passing, like, your brain's not going to be prepared, right? So it's a new dimension of mix-up. So Aang is the mix monkey. So, like, whatever you want to do, all these variations, all these support characters, lead the mix some way, somehow. That's kind of Aang 101. Now, Sokka's really interesting here. He's a bit of an odd duck. You might notice I put his difficulty as intermediate to advanced because he's one of the characters that like most changes depending on what your support is in terms of what game plan you're looking for. Someone like Suki is really advanced and can be really testing your finger speed. Let's put it that way. Versus someone like his sword variation. It's a little bit more straightforward, but let's talk about what Sokka does first. So Sokka breaks a lot of the rules of the game as it is. So there's some negatives and positives here. So negative, he cannot go ABC. Like he cannot go light, medium, heavy. It is not possible for him. He's got other strengths to make that up, but he cannot do a basic chain combo. So that might throw you off a little bit. Also, he's a dash character. He cannot cancel his dash into an attack. Most of the other dash characters can. He cannot. So like him and Toph suffer from that specifically. So those are downsides. Upside though, unlike other characters that need command normals, he can chain any normal into a flow. Doesn't matter. So like light, well, everyone can do lights, but medium flow, yeah, can do it. Heavy flow, yeah, can do it. Don't matter. If it's a regular normal, he can go right into flow. So his option to go into flows is much better than everyone else's. And this is where a lot of that execution comes into play. So right there, that was 3 heavies in a row. Stand heavy, right? That was 3 in a row. What did I do there? So I can hit heavy and I can flow cancel it. Just forward flow, right? Okay, sure. And it's a stance, like say Aang we just talked about. And he's got a few options from it. One of those, and we'll talk about the others in a moment, but one of those is just hit flow again and it stops. So if I do this, flow, stop, I will actually recover just a little bit before the enemy does. And then I can go for another heavy, and that's a combo. To that point, you can just start chaining in the chaining in the chaining, right? Like the combo we did at the start of the segment rather. Let me tell you, that took me a while to do. It took me a long time to build the muscle memory to get that. These are not easy. These are some of the more advanced stuff. But for Suki, it's more realistic for Suki compared to the other support characters. But every variation can do stuff like that. Again, any normal can go into a flow. And for Sokka specifically, you can just basically do stuff like that. Normal and the normal and the normal because you're flow canceling. If you played El Fuerte in Street Fighter 4, it's basically run, stop, fierce. So that's one of the big upsides of the character is anything can go into flow cancel, can go into cancel flow cancel, basically. I know that sounds like a big jumbled mess, but it is what it is. But from that forward flow, since we're talking about it, it's a big run, right? So you can cancel it, but you also have multiple moves. So if you go for light, it's a big sliding low. You go for medium, it's a big leaping attack. And that can hit cross up by the way. So if you're looking to mix people up, there's some left, right there on top of the just adding a low. And again, run stop, go for throw. Like, you got options. And if you go heavy from run, that's a giant leap. And a jump medium, by the way, is a cross up. So if you don't know what to do and you just want to scream in, full screen, just forward flow, hit heavy. You basically just travel most of the screen, and you can hit medium in the air, and you're just in. You're just in. It's that simple. You can be anti-aired, sure, but if you don't know what to do and just want to brute force your way in, forward flow, just hit jump, or rather hit heavy to jump from the forward flow, boom, you're in. Done. Okay, so now we got that. Another unique thing to him is the boomerang. So it's almost a standard projectile, except for the fact boomerangs, as they tend to do, bounce. And you have to pick it up before you can use it again. So while it's gone, nothing. You actively just get it. And there will be times where you can toss it and like say, whoops, you missed. Is it gone forever? Not quite. Wait just a little bit. And I'm not going to edit this, so you can see you're going to wait a little bit. But if you wait a little bit, it will eventually come back to you. Trusty boomerang always comes back. And you can toss it at multiple angles, as you can see here. And some of them can be a little tricky like that. So the quarter-circle forward medium toss, anti-air, but then it kind of circles back down. In fact, you can kind of have it hit from behind the enemy as well. And if you want to use heavy, it tosses it behind you and comes back the other way. In fact, you're sort of counting on it. That's really handy like that. And the one thing too, when it bounces, you can see him like, he'll react when he picks it up. It actually returns him to neutral. So when you return the neutral, it just resets whatever you're doing. You're just actually... So when you grab it back, it just resets your recovery. So no matter what animation you were in, you just return the neutral. So it actually gives you new combo routes. Like, let me show you. So he has sword moves, and we're going to talk about that in a second. All right, we're doing this, and whoops. So we caught the boomerang in the middle of our sword attack, and it just canceled the recovery of the sword attack by itself, and then we got additional hits after the fact. So just catching the boomerang is really good. Also, EX boomerang toss, just a big old knockback, and it will come back on the other end. So it can hit both ways. So it's really handy that way. So that's the boomerang. Now, quarter circle back attack. That is the sword. So the sword, like, it's a very strong launcher at minimum. Like, say off crouch heavy, you can go medium sword and just do other stuff. Good combo fodder. And also, quarter circle back heavy. Ooh, that's a nasty glow. That big red means unblockable. So there's only one way out of this realistically. Either you hit him before he hits you, or you use your down flow. So if you use your regular flow, which you think would be a way out, nope. In fact, it's a critical hit if they try to flow out of it, and it becomes a launcher. So if they try to do that, like, it can work on lots of other attacks, sure. It will not work on this. They're going for a ride, basically. However, down flow will get past it. Speaking of down flow, Sokka has an attack off a down flow. He'll attack you with a sword, and basically it's just like the show, he's putting dust in your eyes, and he'll become a little bit invisible for a moment. So if you're just looking to like help with his mix-up here, because it's difficult to see him, that's great. Also, when done by the enemy, it will switch sides. So you have to actually be prepared to block the other way almost immediately. Otherwise, you're gonna get blown up. Now, it's unsafe on block, as it should be, but a very valuable mix-up. Also, Sokka's threat in the air, all that boomerang stuff flies in the air. Also, the medium toss is a very aggressive angle, not the least of which is it will just scrape across the ground. So if it hits, great. If not, see what happens. And the heavy toss too, he just whips it up in the air, and it'll just land, and it'll be active till it hits the ground. So it's really nice. Also, the sword, you can use it in the air as well. It becomes a big dive kick, basically. And this is an overhead, by the way. And, because this game's this game. This is a fighting game player's fighting game. What does that mean? Oh yeah, you can do this like a frame off the ground. And you better believe that is an overhead. So here we are. Blocking low, I got hit. Blocking low, got hit. You have to stand block that. Now, you're basically asking, well, how do I react to that in time and block it? You don't. Really. Enhanced version launches, by the way. Now, just so you know, the enhanced version is not an overhead. That would be ridiculous. It'd be too much for like something like that to give a full combo and be overhead. So, the overhead's its own reward, basically. But he's got lots of lows. He's really good with the lows. He's really good with those overheads. So you just gotta guess for your life. In a lot of ways, Sokka feels like a Mortal Kombat character, and he's not the only one in this game. I'll put it that way. Also, to speak of his super, so his level 7's like normal level 7. His 4-bar super, though, is a buff. Gets a kiss of a pretty lady, and then he's feeling it. So his speed, as you can see, is a lot faster. Also, while the buff is live, his flow regeneration is like near instantaneous. Like, it's almost impossible for him to actually like drain his flow. So all these like cancels we talked about, they might as well be free. They might as well be free. Also, the activation works off other moves. So you can get really crazy with it really quick is what I'm saying. But now let's talk the support characters, the variations. So Suki, cheaper flow cancels. It's pretty self-explanatory, but we'll go into it. We have gain sword levels. That's where if you don't want to do the advanced stuff. And better boomerangs where if you just want to get crazy. So for Suki, better flow cancels. Like if you want to do the fancy flow combos, you literally just spend less flow. It just makes it easier. You'll get bigger combos, get more advanced combos. It doesn't make them easier to do. They are still difficult. I am not good at them myself. I'll be the first to admit it. But if you're looking for that more advanced, like high, finger APM, high dexterity, just a lot of button pressing, Suki's the one. But that stuff's hard. So if you want to lower his difficulty by a whole stage and just go from like advanced to intermediate, you want Master Piandao. So this is the sword variation. And every time you hit someone with the sword, like successfully, not blocked, you gain a sword level. And these sword levels are permanent till the end of the game, no matter how many rounds go by. And you notice here, I'm just doing the same move, right? And it's doing progressively more damage. And the screen is starting to shake here, and oh, now it's getting real crazy. Like, what's going on? So, yeah, the thing about this is just hit the enemy more and more with the sword. The more damage you do till the end of the game. It's that cut and dry. And that means, by the way, stuff like those unblockables get a lot scarier because they'll be doing progressively more and more damage. So basically, if you pick this version, not much about your game plan changes other than you're going to want to like specifically try to put as many sword attacks in the middle of a combo as possible. But other than that, you're just going to do progressively more and more damage over the course of a match because more sword hit equal more better. Like, it's just going to hurt real bad. And there is a fun trick besides just more damage. So once you're at least 10 levels in, on top of, the screen shake more damage, stuff like your EX sword attack, that becomes flow cancelable. So now, on top of just like doing that, I can now just like launch you with it and launch you with it and launch you with it and just like keep going because now it's flow cancelable just like my normals are, right? So even though Suki's more like good for that flow cancel nonsense, right? Mr. Piandao still gets it once you unlock 10 sword levels and you can unlock even more damage on top of stacking more and more damage with more sword levels. So you just want to do sword, 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 sword. Yo, pick this one. And then there's Princess Yue. So for lore fans, this is kind of inherently problematic as this is the world's first cuck install. And she does not like that. She will get mad when Suki kisses Sokka, by the way. But yeah, so this is your boomerang. So puts a boomerang on a rope. And it kind of gets around the problem of what happens if it's off screen. So you can yank it back. So basically, if the boomerang's not already equipped, you can just do the same motion, course forward attack, and yank it forward. It's interesting in a lot of ways, because say, like, this is between us. Yeah, just yank it, and then it'll hit them along the way. So now, basically, it just gives you a lot more variety than you would have before, because you can do a lot more weird stuff with it, and you can also recall it while it's in midair as well. So you can get a lot of weird angles with it. So if you're just looking to control space, then this is the one for sure. So in a game full of very different characters and different rule sets, Sokka has a bunch of unique rule sets that are only for him. Now let's talk about another very unique character. This is Avatar Kyoshi. So in a game full of like kids and teenagers, how about we have a 9-foot tall woman, right? So for a lot of people, I think that's the selling point by itself. So she's the big body character. What do I mean by big body? Well, I mean, that's just her medium. Her medium just hits from that far away, because that's kind of stuff Kyoshi does. She can hit you from a good deals away. She's real big. All of her stuff is big. You better believe she has some super armor. She has some of the easiest and best defense in the game, because this move here with super armor is also plus on block on top of being a launcher. So yeah, you can do some stuff is what I'm trying to say. Like her crouch B, yeah, that's 80% of the screen low. She doesn't have many lows. Her mix-up potential is not high, but when you can just kind of do that, does it need to be that high? A lot of what she does just has huge range. So if that's what you want, big hits with like smaller combos, like she is the character. But now let's talk about some of the things she can do. So one, she has some unique traits. Just to do special moves for her takes flow meter. It does not take flow meter for basic moves, but for anyone else, but for her it does. On the flip though, her regeneration of flow is like 5 times faster than other characters, if not even faster than that. And she needs it though, because we have stuff like this. So she can follow up a lot of her basic specials with more moves. And these are not small moves. Like, they're pretty big follow-ups that do pretty big things. So let's talk about the first basic move here. So quarter forward attacks. It's basically a kind of earthbending. Light is a quick little poke. Medium, a higher poke that will also launch the enemy. And heavy is a double hitting attack that'll leave them grounded with a lot of hit stun. And then we have 3 different follow-ups. And which poke you do, light, medium, or heavy, is not dependent on the follow-up. The follow-up is his own button press. And you can also cancel the quarter circle forward attack into the follow-up immediately without the move hitting. So follow-up A is Godzilla Breath. Just lots of fire and also plus on block, by the way. Follow-up B, Big Tornado. And Big Tornado launches them right up in the air. And of course, again, depending on what you do, depending on how close you are, these can all combo as well. Follow-up C is defensive. She actually will gain some super armor and then attack on the other end. So she doesn't have a full screen projectile, so that's something she kind of has to worry about. But with follow-up C, she kind of doesn't need it, right? Because like her attack is just about full screen range, and she can use that armor in that attack and then pop you on the other end. And yeah, you better believe there's combo potential there, right? Like she can hurt you pretty bad if she catches you. In fact, one of her command normals, same idea. A forward spin is armored and can just spin through stuff, and it does have a follow-up attack, which has a critical hit if you actually happen to use it to spin through anything. Now, it's not infallible, it's not infinite armor, but it's there. So the C follow-up and forward heavy both have armor for her to spin through things, and top of her down heavy, which is an omnidirectional armored plus on block launcher. So again, big body character. And just to keep with the theme here, so her quarter circle back series is a big leaping pillar attack. She's an earthbender first before being the avatar. And it keeps momentum from jumps, all that kind of stuff. It's safe on block. So if it gets blocked, not ideal, but it is safe. The enhanced version, plus on block. Also, this is one of the fun things about her. So for her specifically, because she's the avatar, not a avatar like Aang or Korra, the avatar, her EX moves take 3 bars instead of 2 because her stuff's just better. So this is stupid plus on block. And it's also a mega launcher on hit. So if you can get the hits, it'll take some timing, but you can super jump afterwards, get your hits, and get your follow-up. And quarter circle forward EX, armor just full screen projectile because, again, the avatar. And she'll just bulldoze through whatever. If you don't want to deal with timing with some of your other armored options, then don't. Like, just cover the screen in rocks. It'll figure itself out. Now, big character, so you'd expect her to be slow, right? Her flow movement, some of the most interesting in the game. So, if you're under 30, you can call this the Eno Dash. If you're over 30, this is the Morrigan Dash. And yes, this gives you quick, instant overheads. Now, she literally only has one low. This is Crouch B. Her Crouch Light is a mid. So, she actually has the ability to hit you with a lot more overheads than lows. But still, there's that. And her flow in the air is just her running across the air. So she's very surprisingly airborne. With the fact also down and light in the air is an omnidirectional easy cross-up. So if you don't know which way you're going to be on, that's an easy cross-up for you to work with. Now you think, okay, does she have a command grab? No, she has a really cool throw, but her 4-meter super is a command grab that does a healthy 350 damage, which is over a third of your life on pretty much the entire cast. It is a true grab, so you're not armoring through it. Also, you cannot jump it after the flash. So you just gotta respect it. So when you're worried about like this non-stop barrage of overheads, eventually she can just stop saying like, no, you're grabbed, get got. Simple as that. As we mentioned here, armor. She can also summon the wind like Aang. So she has back heavy, which is one of her command normals, and if you hold it, the wind will be summoned. And I'll let you do some fun and interesting combos just due to the nature of kind of how the combo structure works. So there's a lot of stuff to play around with, and it's all very high damage. So not to say she's simple, but she just does big character things. So now let's talk about her various variations. Okay, so Rongi. If you're just looking to maximize the big character aspect of Kyoshi, this is it. So like stuff like Tornado, more hits, more damage, wider Tornado. Also, depending on the combo, it'll give you OTGs. So the move can always OTG. But since it's wider, it just makes it easier to do so. On top of the fact that it does more damage as well. So just a slightly more combo potential, which is nice. And then there's the big Flame Breath, right? Still plus on block, still does damage. And it leaves a damage over time pit. So now all of a sudden, just going for this is kind of the reward in and of itself. Because even if they block it, they're still burning. They still got to watch that health, right? Since she has like some of the best anti-airs in the game with like down heavy, even her jab is a great anti-air. Like it kind of sucks for them. They can't just jump out. And if they're not jumping out, they're burning. And her armored wall splats them higher. You get better combos. So it only affects these 3 moves, but these are 3 pretty good moves to affect basically. Hellsang affects your mobility, so stuff like your air dash. Whoa, wait, what? Yeah, no, we can go up for the skies. Or conversely, we can start rocking down. So you can have like some angles of up or down during your air flow dashes. Also, she has a move here, up and flow. And doesn't do much other than let her float a little bit. But with this specific variation, it literally just becomes a double jump. So, it just helps your mobility because no matter if you're doing forward or backwards, you can move the other way, and helps this, somewhat bigger character just navigate all the better yet. Especially because you can like do airflow, run forward, then jump backwards, stuff like that. So mobility is Hellsang. And Yun gives you some air control over your pillar moves. Now, it can already be affected by your momentum, but it just basically lets you affect even more. And you can also have like a little bit of air control backwards if you want. It's not much, but also lets you jump cancel out of them. So then you get some really weird stuff going on like that. Just hit up and flow with that move we talked about just a moment ago. And you can end the move and basically do some weird stuff with it. So normally heavy into pillar, well, it's just a normal thing. But now heavy, pillar, cancel, whoops, cross up, wait, what? You can get weird with it. It gives you even different kinds of mobility as opposed to the last variation. So basically, do you want to double down on just being big, or do you want to get weird with it? That's what the variations add for Kyoshi.
You will learn. You will learn.
Okay, now Ozai. We've done a bunch of unique characters back to back to back, right? Like, Ozai takes the cake, because I don't even know how to classify him, really. Like, depending on your support, he's a completely different character each support, basically. He has some shared moves, sure, but, like, let's look at the movement. Keep in mind here, in this variation, he's a low health character, but what's going on? We're just kind of going everywhere? Yeah, we can do that. Doesn't want to see something really weird? Okay. Oh, he can hold his kick. Cool, right? And if you hold it for a bit, it becomes like Genocide Cutter. It's one of the many SNK references in the game. Okay. Ozai, before any move, he just can move unlike any other character in the game. So everyone else, like you hit flow and you run, or maybe it's an air dash or whatever. For him, it's a clock. So when he flows, you can see that like bar draining. And once that bar is draining, all of his other flow moves are free till it's drained. Like, it's always gonna drain. It's just till you do it, everything else is free. And how you get to move is really dependent on your support. So we're gonna be talking about the supports like up front here first. So Firelord Sozin, as so named for the comet, he gives you 8-way air dash. So you can just move anywhere. So if you want like versus game offense, like, yo, this is it. Like you can get some 8-way air dash pressure with some of the characters, but it is not as good as this. Ozai's is just better than theirs, like straight up. Like if you want that old school triangle jump, like hope you can block overhead low real fast, it's him. So like block overhead low, sure. Or like block overhead low. Or, depending on your height, you can like chain it into an overhead medium. Like, it's the most classical, terrifying 8-way mix, right? Like, because he can dash in any direction he so chooses, as long as he's got flow. If he's not burned out, he can move. By the way, this whole boost stuff here, like, it's more than just his air movement, which is great. It's his everything movement. You can boost dash his normals, his like mediums and his heavies, and it changes the properties. Like stand heavy, right? Boost dash heavy, launcher, and they can just freely go into each other. And it activates the timer on the flow gauge, which then means you have the infinite dashes till you're out. Basically, everything kind of changes into everything. And in Sozin specifically, all the stuff comes jump cancelable. By the way. So I can boost dash my medium, which also makes him run while doing it, giving it like Titanic range. And then, because it literally works that way, yeah, block overhead that fast. Were you ready? Or maybe I'll just go for empty jump low. Or maybe I'll go for like a throw. The mix-ups are obnoxious, to say the least. And like special moves too. Like that's a special move. Yeah, I can boost dash that and just give it more range. I can even hit boost after the fact if you can't hit buttons at the same time. If you don't have the dexterity, you can like pling them together. Basically non-stop mobility and weird mixed up stuff. That's only one variation. Like he has cortical forward, medium in the air, right? It's like an overhead and you can tiger knee it and you can boost dash everything, right? So I can go like tiger knee it, boost dash downwards, and then immediately start comboing for my own instant overhead. Obnoxious! So now let's switch admirals out. So before I was below average health, now I'm above average health. Oh, and I got a command grab now. And the thing about this is the command grab, that whole boost dash stuff, Admiral Zhao cannot boost dash the same way as the Sozin variation, right? So no weird mix. But that command grab, I can boost dash that. And I can send myself into the stratosphere. And the more you boost up, the more damage you do. That command grab did about a third of most characters' life. And good thing he has the lightning. So the lightning is unblockable. All variations have the lightning, by the way. And if I go for the air lightning, I can move myself forward and the below me at OTGs. And say in the corner here, I can scoop you up and get even more damage yet. And then after I do that, I can use EX dunk and redunk. And like, it gets silly. And then there's enhanced grab, because, you know, we have enhanced grab. Oh, and that has super armor. Sure, what? Like, yeah. It gets everything but lows. And that big kick we had earlier, we can cancel it and then store the charge. And then just instantly have Genocide Cutter come out whenever we want in this specific variation. And then we have the firebender. So this is average health, and we still keep that command grab, although it doesn't quite have as much range. And we can't turbo boost it, so it's not going to do as much damage, but still does damage, so we still have it. Our air dashes are not as good as, say, the Sozin, but we get at least a proper back and forward air dash. So we can do a lot of shenanigans from that and all the things you would expect. So okay mobility in the air. So what we get in this one is his flow cancel when you're blocking. A lot of people can do that. Gets a hit armor. Like, he basically just headbutts whatever the attack is coming in, and then you can just beat people up on the other end. So this variation can make a lot of block strings like completely fake, basically. Now, in the early stages of me having this game right now, the implications of this yet to be fully resolved, let's put it that way, but it seems pretty big to me. So yeah, each variation for Sozin basically completely changes how he plays, because the boost mechanic, how he uses it, is key to the character, and all three of them use them in very different ways. Sozin gives you a character that's like straight out of Marvel vs. Capcom, straight up. Like, it is impossible to defend yourself against this version of the character to any real degree. Admiral Shao says, okay, let's put all these boosts in the command grabs, and we'll boost ourselves to the moon and have an atomic explosion on the other end. And he does have some normal stuff, like he has an air fireball that's universal to all the variations, but everyone just plays very, very differently. So have fun exploring and see which version of Ozai is for you. So now let's talk Nightmare Korra. Nightmare Korra is an odd duck. You probably noticed by the fact just her life. Her life is very low because she gets to do a lot of weird stuff. Also, she ain't feeling so good as compared to normal Korra. So here's the thing. What if I'm being zoned out, right? Wait, what? So Nightmare Korra is the master of teleports. She can just be on you immediately, anywhere on the screen. It's not an issue. Just her base teleport by itself is invincible. And by the way, if she's somehow like struggling with projectiles, she also has other anti-projectile moves too. She doesn't need the teleport, but she can. So her flow movement, instead of just being a normal dash, although she does have Korra's air dash, and she has it normally, she does not need to be in no avatar state to do it. Yeah, it's just full screen teleports. Just straight up. And if you hit down forward flow, it becomes like an aerial version. By the way, she has King Kong air normals. Like, it hits from very unfairly far away, you could argue. So she does have a lot of Korra's normals, a lot of Korra's specials, although in like kind of alternate takes, alternate versions, like say like the uppercut style move, the flips, the water blast. Like, she has a lot of that, just a little different. And then she's got some stuff Korra doesn't have, like say these various ice attacks. So good mobility with the air dash, weird teleports that are invincible, and then stuff like this. So this Korra's forward heavy. This is plus on block. Also, it's a launcher. In some of her variations, some of her moves are teleport cancelable. So this plus on block launcher gets full combos, right? Like, and if blocked, it's my turn. Great. Now here's the thing. Even though some normals are like cosmetically different, she does share a lot with Korra. Again, like the moves here, like say the ice kick, she can just do it by itself. and it will destroy projectiles, unlike Korra has to do it after her light or medium fireball. And stuff like her uppercut moves, they will gain full invincibility if done after the teleport. And again, that teleport is full screen and instant, so she can be on you whenever, and then add like all the air dashes and all that. But she does share a lot with Korra, other than some of the unique traits here, like EX icicles or the launcher. She shares a lot with Korra. So basically, think of her like Korra, but with less health and a lot more mobility. So when it comes to her support characters, Vaatu, any move that's water bending is teleport cancelable. So it could be the projectile, could be the big launcher we showed. Like, as long as it's a water bending based move, you can then teleport cancel out of it. This also helps with her very long range water kick, as you can cancel that into your airflow and then air dash out of it as well. The Dark Spear is very interesting because it's the most boring, if you will, but it just lets all of her normals do chip. Every single normal, like even jabs, like lights. And like, as you can see here, like that's not insubstantial, damn. Like that is a good amount of chip, actually. So if you just want some brute force offense, like that's actually fantastic for it. And Unalaq's very interesting. So all your water bending moves are improved if you're at no energy, like none at all. Like your critical forward light, the projectile gets much bigger, but now you have one energy because it hit. Now it's short again, right? Your critical forward medium now gets a different angle. Critical forward heavy launcher gets a lot bigger. So basically, it's here to buff you and a lot of your moves while you're very specifically at low energy and only the water bending moves. And she also has a unique mechanic. So it's technically a critical hit, but when she loses a round, she gets a permanent buff. So Vaatu lets you do teleport stuff better. Unalaq lets you do your D-powered special, or rather your low-power special moves at 3 energy or below instead of 0 energy. And the Dark Spirit puts you up to regular health after you lose a round. But yeah, besides that, think of her as a version of Korra that's different, but higher mobility, a bit trickier, but you're also lower health, so you're more susceptible to getting beat up yourself. So Zaheer, out of the gate, what's the appeal of Zaheer? Yo, he flies. Like, straight up. Like, done. Said. He flies. But also, hey, there's a lot of kids and teenagers in this game, right? And if you're older like me, maybe you resent that a little bit. So if you want to bring the crew of angry middle-aged people to put the boots to the kids, this is also that character. So he's good on the mix, he's good on the summons, he's got a lot of things going in his favor. So out of the gate, just like a lot of stuff you can do, any command normal lets you flow cancel, that's part of the game rules. And his flow cancel is fly. So you can just do a lot of fun stuff where you can combo directly into flight. And the thing is, while you're flying, you can do a lot of things. Like you can hit buttons, sure. He has various like glider-based attacks where you can like kind of dive down and across. But you can also call the crew. And while you're just kind of flying around, the crew can do their thing and attack from some pretty fun angles. And like the flights is excellent, right? And it helps with your combos. But one of the really fun things about the summons is the fact his mix-up engine's really good. Because like stuff like his downflow is a roll, sure, makes sense. But notice how it passes through the enemy. So the enemy has no say which end I'm going to wind up on, right? Like they can't just body block me. So now in this situation, say I call Pali, does a projectile, right? But now you had to block that the other way. So I'm just holding down back. Wait, what? How come I got hit? Because Zaheer's on the other side of me from the roll, I have to block whatever side he's facing. So thus, in this situation here, I blocked wrong. I got crossed up even though Zaheer himself never actually attacked me because the teammate, the Red Lotus teammate's attacking me. So same logic here, right? I can toss EX Gazan and he's got a bit of a lava boomerang and it's going to come back at the opponent. And thus, like, oh, if I'm tricky, which side do you got to block, right? Because wherever you are, Zaheer's the one you have to block. But what if we get double tricky? Because again, flow cancels. And one of my flow moves is a big old backflip. And I can roll through you and then flow cancel and backflip on the other end. So here I am down backing. And right there, I had to block the other way. And now, like, depending on which way you do it, like, it's a double cross-up, right? Because, like, which way am I going? You can keep switching left and right with the opponent while they're doing their thing. And naturally, after your compatriots hit, you can get juggle opportunities. And all this fancy stuff to say, you know, he's still a man of the world. Like, his basic quarter circle forward poke, actually huge, gigantic range. Like, gigantic range. Controls a huge part of the screen. The distances you want to use it at, it's completely safe on block. The heavy version actually has a follow-up for an additional hit, as you can see here, which really helps actually for hit confirms, just because if you want to use this like a poke, which you absolutely can because the range is huge, is 4-meter super, actually connects from exactly this distance. So if you're just looking for an extra touch damage, there you go. And his enhanced staff only takes 1 meter, not 2, and has even more range yet. So, like, if you just want some fundamentals, like, yeah, like, we got the gimmicks, we got the flight, we got all the gimmicks and gigaws. Like, if you're just looking for some fundamentals, he's got that as well. Although, back on the gimmicks here, he has jump BC, jump medium and heavy together. And what this does here is it just is an automatic cross-up. And if it hits as a cross-up for the first time around, it just bounces the enemy. So, basically, you just hit it, fly cancel, and immediately combo out. And again, with all the shenanigans, it's easy to go like, wait, hey, which way am I going? And bop them on the other end. And of course, your support characters are your 3 Red Lotus members. And basically, it determines which EX move do you get. It will buff their base moves a little bit, but basically, it's the EX. So like EX is on is like the lava pinwheel. That'll be really good for pressure and mix. EX Pali just starts shooting tons of lasers out and just covering a wide mark of the screen, as well as, like, you know, helping for combo potential. And EX Ming Hua, well, if you're a fan of the Super Scroll, I'm sure you'll like it, especially because after that hit, that is a bounce. You will get combos after the fact. So here's like a weird mix of like super, like combo monkey, has all these mix-ups, but then like, no. If you want to play like solid, just pokey fundamentals, you know, remove your earthly tether, just play some nooch. He's actually surprisingly good at that as well. So like, he's got a little bit for everyone, basically, on top of just hanging with the crew, and that's always fun by itself. Okay, so now Azula, you're probably noticing out of the gate here, another very low health character, and she earns it. So the thing about Azula, though, is she's 2 completely different characters. It's not just as simple as like, what is the support that matters, but if you take her as is, the idea is she starts as one character, which is focused Azula, and if she loses a round, she becomes Fire Lord Azula because she sort of loses her marbles. So for now, we're going to talk about focused Azula first. So this is the more difficult of the 2, because depending on which one you pick, the difficulty rises. And when I talk about difficulty, like, yes, combo difficulty is kind of part of it, because you gotta hit, for at least focused anyways, you gotta hit more buttons faster than just about anyone else, and the timing is tight. And then add to the fact she has legitimate just frames, like that right there. That's just Corso back medium, right? But if I hit with perfect timing, it becomes a just frame, and thus gets new and better properties. And from this launcher, I can kind of, you know, get my more advanced combos, right? Like, and I don't get that combo without that launcher. And then you have more just frames, like say her forward heavy. So if you hold it, it becomes extra big, can lay a flame pit, can detonate flame pits. See that right there, right? But no perfect timing? Yes, perfect timing. And the move just got better. Launched by itself and laid a flame pit and like had more range and had more everything, right? So Focus Azula is like Azula in the show. She wants to be perfect. And due to this, she has stuff like zoning. She can keep you out. She has lots of projectiles at different speeds. EX projectile can lay flame pits by itself, which can detonate with other projectiles. The flame pit is a very big part of the character in detonating them. And the thing too about flame pits is if you throw someone in a flame pit, it becomes a detonator and becomes a launcher by itself. And the flame pit also, or rather the throw also puts a flame pit in itself. So it kind of creates like an ever-existing zone where you can launch people on top of also being on fire and burning you. If flame pit is up, consider her a grappler. Because that throw is gonna hurt, and hurt very bad, basically. And specifically in focused only, like she has the air dash, and she has them both, but she has double air dash. And she can air dash in any of the 8 directions. And so I can go like back, forward down. So I can be like, oh, I'll hit you with a cross up. Or, oh, actually just hit you with a low. And she has like no landing recovery at all when she hits the ground. Like you can just immediately just go into buttons right away, right? So which way she's gonna go, left, right, front, side, like it's legitimately difficult. Unlike her daddy, she needs a little bit more air to get the triangle jump overhead. Although she can still do it, it just has to be ever slightly more telegraphed. So in focus, big combo potential, the damage over time factor, detonating pits, and the pits have damage over time, all sorts of crazy air dash. We have all sorts of screen control with all these levels of zoning. She also has a flame trap, which she can also detonate it well too. Or if it just sits, it just sits, and if they run into it, it explodes. So this is pretty much all upside, right? Which again, this is why she has lower health. Although she has basically no defense, like even a little bit. Her only defense is you being proactive and meeting threats as they happen. There's no invincible reversal or anything like that to save you other than like the level 7. Because even her level 4, which is the lightning, that is not invincible startup. Now, the one thing about this is it's interesting in its own way because it's unblockable, but it's slower startup and it's very difficult to combo into, and you need hyper specific combos for it. But yeah, focus is a combination of just fantastic zoning, great keep away, and then also just insane hyper mobility that just lets her get in and like mix you up whenever you want. That is why she has lower health. The only downside is that lower health and the poorer defense. But now, Fire Lord. So Fire Lord, she's a little bit more unhinged now, as you can see just kind of by her hair and mannerisms. She still has these stuff like the air dash, right? She can still use the various directions, but she cannot do multiple directions anymore. She's a bit more kind of telegraphed, and stuff like the triangle jump, the downwards angles, they're slower startup. So she can use it to pressure, but it's not as good out the gate. But the one thing is though, is her jump heavy attack is so much insanely better. Like this is one of the highlights here. So this version of Azula is less precise. This is a lot easier to use, and the heavy kick is one of the reasons. One of those reasons is if you manage to use jump heavy kick on someone who's air to air, it'll actually bounce them. So in the regular version, it just hits them to the ground. But since this is a move you're going to be spamming, it's very likely you can hit someone air to air. And when you do, you get a combo, you get a launcher. So your normals and all that are the same, but one of the big differences here is no more normal projectiles. So instead here, we have this. We have cortical forward, light, medium, or heavy. And these guys here, they're very different kinds of projectiles. As you can see here, they're not quite full screen. Now these destroy projectiles, and the heavy version especially is very advantage on block. They all do respectable chip damage while also it's kind of depleting your opponent's flow gauge as well. But it's basically a wall that you can kind of chase in just a little bit after. Now, all those perfect mechanics, like the frame perfect moves, none of those exist in this version. But you don't need them. Because stuff like this is just a meterless launcher by itself. Like if any of these connect, you can just do a quick follow-up depending on how close you are and get a full combo as well. So again, more of like a brute force sledgehammer. Now, it's not to say she doesn't have projectiles. She still has the same EX projectiles that Focused Azula does. But you have to commit to spending the meter, basically. The air version's extra good because she doesn't have much at a distance. So this lets her just kind of brute force her way in. Especially because on hit or on whiff, it creates an active flame carpet. So it's already detonated, basically. So the DOT is just live out of the gate. Also, other new tricks is, because there's no air fireball, she has air lightning. Now, it says the red flash, it means unblockable. Now, air to air moves are not blockable, FYI. And it does have a minimum air height, so he cannot do it like 1 frame off the ground like some other moves. So he can't like hit Aang standing with it or whatever. But it does control a giant just chunk of the screen. So just like the anti-air projectile for Focus Azula kind of takes the same idea. But yeah, everything's just sort of easier for lack of a better term, especially because Jump Heavy's so much better and always causes a ground bounce on an airborne foe, which also means it translates directly to your combos. So now with that and like how our projectile works for like considerably less effort, you're just doing basically more damage. You already have the flame pit set up because there's no detonations. It just is always live no matter what you do in this variation. So you lose some utility, you take out some of the complication, but everything gets easier and more damaging basically at the cost of like being completely straightforward. And that's basically the two supports. Like, do you always want to be in Focus or do you always want to be Fire Lord? The one where you actually do switch is actually the best one if you're willing to play both by a lot, because all your flame traps just stay longer and longer regardless. But I think you probably just want to pick the character you want to pick. So basically, you want straightforward and easy rush down or highly precise, like kind of keep away / mix up. And for Azula, the choice is yours, which you get. But either way, it's pretty dang cool in my opinion. And, you know, probably a lot of you just skip to Azula first, right? So that's kind of the heads up on the character. So now let's talk Avatar Aang. So Avatar Aang is full power Aang, if you will, and consequently has a little bit lower health because he can do weird, silly stuff, basically. This dude's a zoner. Like, even command normals for him, like, that's forward medium, forward heavy. These are like full power projectiles. Jump down heavy, jump forward heavy, jump down medium. Like, this is a Katara special move. Jump forward medium is a weird angled aerial project. Like, he's got zoning for days, basically. And then he's got effectively pseudo stances, like cortical forward and light or medium or heavy. It changes basically the angle. This does not hit the enemy on the rise up, by the way. But yeah, you have light, which is like a rock shotgun at a hyper aggressive angle. And yes, you can jump and then enter the angle. So you can control a giant part of the screen is what I'm trying to say. Also, by hitting heavy afterwards, you can just dump the boulder by itself as another projectile. When you're in a state, also, you can hit your medium button and it'll dump a fireball. And you see here, it'll land with a fire pit, and that is a DOT pit. And you can actually mash and shoot multiples out. You are kind of stuck in the animation for a little bit, though, so make sure you're kind of high up. And then try to use your flow to kind of move around afterwards to avoid. His flow, as you see here, it lets him have a bit of air control as well. So not quite like mix-up-y like normal Aang, but he's got some stuff. And heavy from this, okay, so we have shotgun rock. We got like mortar flame. So what would heavy be? So funny story, it's a command grab. What? Yeah, so if they're just passive and they just like kind of wait it out, you can just dunk them with a giant water slam. It is aimable as well, so you can aim it straight across. So if they're jumping, you can just snag them out of the air. It's technically unblockable, not a grab, so it will also get airborne foes. If you want to enhance it, stuff like the fire mortars, you can just shoot more of them out. The rock shotgun just shoots more rocks, basically, as Aang would always want it, I'm sure. And you can do this in the air or on the ground, so it's the same thing either way. And then you have quarter circle back, and then we have a bit of a cyclone, if you will. And like the other one, it doesn't hit necessarily, although the enhanced version will hit. And from here, we have a full screen low. Yes, this is a low. You must block this crouching. I don't know where Jax is in the world of Avatar, but Jax would be proud. We got another very zany projectile, because you see here the arc moves forward, then kind of curves around. And you can kind of shoot over their head and hit them from behind if you so choose. And heavy gives you a giant leap. Now here's the thing, you got a lot of air control over this leap. So I can do this and be same side, or I can do this and then like wildly be on the other side of you, like however you want to do it. And the thing is too, it's not just forward or back. It's also up or down. So I can do this and like shoot up into the air. So basically, it's a way to reposition yourself without having to touch the ground. But yeah, everything's basically a projectile or pseudo projectile. Like, that's his crouch medium. Like, that's gigantic. This is his crouch heavy. Just hits both sides. It's not invincible, but it's definitely very serviceable anti-air. If you do quarter circle back in the air, he'll just run in and charge you himself. By the way, plus on block. Now, it's very dependent on the spacing. So, but you can aim it basically at the end of the move and keep some plus frames. Or, you know, neutral. As long as you have a modicum of spacing, you can keep it plus. So, very powerful. He's kind of just a simple zoner in the end. Now, that said, his supports make a world of difference. Roku is all about fire. So, anything that does fire is like, will cause fire pits, right? And that's great. In my opinion, at the build, the current time I have it, this gives him the single best projectile in the game. Because his down heavy is a very aggressive angle fireball, creates a fire pit, and it's the kind of fire pit that has a very high damage burn. Like, this is a lot. Also, it combos into itself because it's also OTG okay. So 2 of these is a direct combo and they land in fire pit. And like, look at the life just burn away, right? It's like, for a basic zoning tool, this does a lot of damage. And again, you know, he's got all sorts of tricks. And, you know, if you try to jump at him, he can just water grab you out of the air. He's got all sorts of like anti-air. Like, his control of the screen is just kind of ridiculous. And this is like kind of the icing as far as I'm concerned. Now, if we have Katara as our support, because yes, he does have Katara as a support, all of his ice-based moves get better. So now his down medium in the air creates a capture state. So if you get hit, like, you're going for the ride, basically. And this is everything that's water-based. So, like, the projectile is a good one, but, like, say down heavy, element surge, this causes automatic freeze state. Anything that's water-based, freeze state. Also, notice my life total. You will also get a very small amount of healing for each amount of water-based attacks you use. So, a little bit of healing, and basically anything that's ice-based, auto-freeze. Also, with Gurupathic, so he just has better drift control and air control on a lot of his moves, because a lot of his moves, you know, use air, and thus, like, you just have better control of himself. Thus, you know, better zoning if you are so inclined, and not so much raw damage, but just a better ability to control the screen. But yeah, with Avatar Aang, unlike Nightmare Korra just kind of feels like Korra with like a couple gimmicks added. Avatar Aang definitely feels like a more distinct Aang. Like, he shares some of the animations, sure, but he also feels like a boss version of Aang, and I feel that's very appropriate. So now let's talk about Zuko. So Zuko puts the fireball in firebender, because he's got a lot of fireballs, chargeable fireballs, different angles, fire pits, dance fireballs. Like, the lad can just do lots of different kinds of projectiles. He's got them for days and days and days and days at that. However, he also has dive kicks, and multiple flavors of dive kicks at that. And that's kind of the crux. And which variation or support character you pick will kind of determine which one you want to lead towards. But no matter which one you have, you're always got the redemption mechanic. So we all know Zuko loves his honor, right? And this is all about getting your honor back. And he's got a few different ways he can do it. So some of these depend on which character you have. But one of the main ways, even though it seems counterintuitive, is to go into burnout. And when you go into burnout, you will raise your redemption gauge. Another way, go for your super. When you land your super, you'll raise your redemption gauge. If you land a counterattack, you raise a redemption gauge. And basically, once you get a level up, then you have one redemption level. And every redemption level lets you do a fun thing. In that, a lot of his moves can be special canceled into other specials. So say his charge fireball here, I can do charge fireball into another fireball. Without any redemption levels, that is not possible. But for every one redemption level you have, you can basically special cancel into another special at will. So say I got my levels up here. I can just keep canceling and canceling and canceling. It takes a lot of my focus gauge each time, but I can do it. And the thing is as well, the more you get your redemption levels, actually you get new quests. So like say if you have one redemption level, you'll get the Zhao Downfalls quest. Okay, so now I have level 1, so now I'm going to hit the move. And boom, critical hit. Gave me the energy and gave the launcher when normally it doesn't launch. Like normally this move, like it hits, sure, but it's only now that redemption level 1 that it has a quest. And again, all these critical hits, like the more you redeem yourself, the more you get my honor back, you get new quests to achieve and more critical hits. And every time you get one, you're going to get some sort of bonus, get more energy and more redemption points. And this is a big one because once you're at max level redemption, you have the abilities of all 3 of your support character variations. So you're literally like a boss character of yourself. So it's a silly mechanic in a way because like it incentivizes you burning yourself out, which is not good, among other things. But given your support character, you have different ways to raise it up. So it's very interesting. And the fact that he gets to chain specials into specials, like no matter how you look at it, that's just plain useful, right? Even if it does have a giant flow cost attached to it, because that just makes your zoning much better. And of course, it doesn't have to be just the zoning. Like it does affect the dive kicks as well. It's all your specials. But yeah, specials are the name of the game of Zuko. So again, we have all sorts of fireballs. A lot of these are holdable. So you can get nice big slow projectiles, multi-hitting, big ones. I got some that control like upper angles. He has DOT flame pits that do a lot of damage over time, by the way. And they do knock down on hit as well. His low profile stance here, his down flow, also has attacks baked into it as well. More low projectiles. He has his forward flow is also another stance. He can attack out of it, attack with flame pits. He has a command jump out of it. He has down forward flow, which is a different kind of command jump that also kind of reminiscent of Akuma almost. He has like the Akuma just like punch. He's got an air fireball. Swoosh! He's definitely got some Akuma vibes here. And by the way, depending on the angles, this can be very plus on block. In fact, if you time it correctly, you can even combo after it. It is a really good air fireball. Of course, you have dive kicks. Your special dive kick, you want to save that one mostly for combos. It's very unsafe on block. But your regular dive kicks, you space it correctly, plus on block, as you know, a good dive kicker is. So on top of just all this like crazy amount of zoning, you can just kind of bust out his inner Street Fighter 4 Rufus and go like, aye, 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 aye. Just like Rufus, right? And so I guess this is a good point to bring up just the variations. So one of them is better dive kicks. And the better dive kick one is very powerful because it completely removes all restrictions from the dive kick. You can now do it while doing backwards. It removes the minimum air restriction, so you can do it like immediately off the ground. And thus like you can get a constant barrage of like plus on block dive kicks very easily. And if your dive kicks plus on block, you better believe it will be okay for combos as well. So just dive kick in, and if it hit, you're gonna get a combo, and if not, you're plus, and you're gonna beat whatever they toss. So just kind of go nuts. That's kind of the essence of Zuko. This lets you be a berserker. And of course, when the time comes and like it's time to start playing, you know, quote unquote normally, all your great zoning and projectiles are still there. But you can just go, aye, 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 and just pretend you're Rufus and you're good to go. By the way, in better dive kicks also build your redemption gauge. So you're even more incentivized to go a little crazy, basically. For Mei. So Mei is the projectile one, and projectiles raise your redemption gauge. And you can see here, but the multi-hitting one, not by a small amount either. Like, this is kind of the easiest variation to raise your redemption gauge, which is great because fireballs and projectiles are also the one that benefits the most from this. And specifically your quarter square light punch and your medium punch, they both get a pretty significant range increase. So for just the actual act of zoning, your two main zoning tools both just get better. So that's excellent. Also, certain projectiles get element surge, which basically means it just turns them into launchers and makes them a lot more valuable. So like down flow stands heavy, now launches. So if you're close enough, you can actually just combo. Or if you got the range, you can just go for some projectiles. And much the same here for your jumping stance fireball. It'll just launch now. So it just gives you more utility for zoning. And then there's Ren and Shaw, the dragon. So it states to make Zuko a bit faster. It's maybe a little, it's harder to tell. But the main thing is it gives you your boost to all your running attacks, so your run flow. So also, he's now raised your redemption gauge. His backflow, he can now do aerial normals out of it. So before the backflow, like all it can do is just move back. Now he can move like with aerial normals. And his aerial normals are very good, by the way. Like jump medium sort of jacked up because it just hits both sides. So it's just, you don't even have to remotely aim it. If it connected one way or the other, it will hit. Jump heavy's very active, very out there just for a long time. Also, the note here, while we're talking about just jumping, he does have with airflow basically a double jump. So Zuko's sort of great at everything, right? But the main focus is, do you want to throw more fireballs and do a little bit of dive kick? Or do you want to do a lot of dive kicks and throw a medium amount of fireballs? That's kind of where I feel it lays in. And also, just with the fact he has the counter, by the way, this game has very, very few good defensive moves. So just having one at all is worth its weight in gold in this game. So it's not an uppercut in the traditional fighting game sense, but just having like something to work with is legitimately kind of huge, especially because it's super cancelable. And it's real handy. Also, he's one of the characters you probably want to save Super for, because supers cause hard knockdowns. And that means he can force you to wake up into a DOT pit, and his DOTs do ridiculous amounts of damage. But yeah, Zuko, solid all-rounder, but I would say solid all-rounder. It's just plus zoning, plus aggression. So it's like above average all-rounder, really. There's a lot to love with Zuko. So Katara is another very technical character. She's very heavy on the movement as well. You might notice here that her basic flow can also just go through people. So off the basic flow alone, she has all sorts of jumps and high angle, low angle, whatever angles you want. Which helps because her air normals are actually some of the best in the game. Because her jump medium, gigantic cross-up hitbox. And say you want to use your flow to move around and you want to flow and attack very easily at that. She can easily also get double overheads, this chain medium into heavy, so that's great. But yeah, so what makes her technical? Well, she has like a good amount of range to it, a bit of a range kind of normals character. But the thing is, we got some stances. So cortical back and light, medium, or heavy, she'll go into a stance. And while she's holding the stance, she can actually freely move around while holding the stance. She'll only leave it until she attacks or like goes airborne otherwise. And from here, okay, we can hit you from a long range. Again, that's sort of her thing. And we can hit you low from a long range, or we can hit you with a very high angle. And of course, you can enhance it, and she's a water bender, you know, ice. She can create a lot of capture states, and from there, you'll get a lot of combos. And even the act of going into the stance is evasive. That's just cortical back and light, right? So cortical back and medium, oh, she'll go backwards. Cortical back heavy, well, that goes into stance. That's actually an attack in and of itself. And this attack will combo into other moves from the stance. The same move without the stance can be done in the air. And as you can expect here, it's some pretty okay range on it as well, and solid enough for combos. Like say here, I do a combo that goes into EX stance. I can use these water whips to hit, and also notice that caused a bounce. And as long as you can hit confirm those combos, like, you can get a bunch of fun stuff going on, basically. Now, you might notice there was a bit of an icicle there, too. So she does have a very, very competent zoning game as well. So the normal projectiles are only in the air, and the buttons you press change the angle, but the heavy, it's not the same. So light's like kind of the normal air projectile, if you will. Medium, more of a shallow angle, but heavy is a delayed icicle here. So it'll cast out, and then it'll just kind of hit wherever the enemy is. So if they're moving further out, it'll try to track. If you switch sides, it'll try, like, it just tries its best to track. Also, the enhanced version, which is bugged as in me doing this right now, she's not meant to teleport across the screen. I don't know. You tell me. Anyways, please fix. When you do it and she doesn't teleport normally, it causes 3 projectiles to track. So it can be really good to lock the enemy down when she doesn't magically teleport, which is definitely not intended, but I messed with this a while. In my current build, she's teleporting. I'm sorry. She don't do that normally. but these projectiles definitely time release and track normally, so they're very good like that. Also really interesting, she's one of the very few characters to have a non-super move that's actually invulnerable, which makes sense. Like, she's more defensively minded along normals like projectiles. So quarter circle forward and flow only, not like one of the main buttons. And she'll basically do a big ice shield that's actually invincible, and you better believe it's death on block. Also really fun, you can hold it, and if you hold it, she will heal herself, which again, on brand for Katara. So if you manage to like hit the enemy, you actually get some of that life back while they're knocked back. So it gives her more effective health. And again, an actually truly invincible move in this game is worth its weight in gold, and also the animation just looks sick. Okay, so some level of zoning, space control with stance with like very long range moves, and the ability to kind of skate around with her unique flow movement. Okay, good. So you wouldn't expect her to be a mix-up character. I'm just down backing. Wait, what? That's an overhead? Okay, enough of your overheads. I'll just stand. Wait, what? That's a low? So yeah. So she has a Rekka series. Quarter circle forward light, quarter circle forward medium, quarter circle forward heavy. And the medium's a low starter, heavy's an overhead starter. And just like a Rekka series would expect, you get follow-ups from these, right? So yeah, she can just kind of 50-50 you on the spot. You can do up to 2 chain follow-ups as long as they're not the same one back-to-back. So I can go into like light, medium, light, or I can go into overhead, low, overhead. It won't naturally combo, but I could, or like low, overhead, low. Like however you get it, you get the 3 of them, and you can mix and match however you want, which is great. Also, you can cancel into your stance. So let's see here. I go for overhead, low, cool. I hit you. I'm going to combo out. Also super cancelable, by the way. So I can just hit you with a super, get a really good tasty chunk of damage. Let's say you block, right? Okay, overhead, low, blocked. So overhead, low, stance cancel. And now, since you blocked, you know what? Overhead, low, stance cancel, I'm out of here. Because I'm allowed to move around freely while I'm in my stance. So basically, if you're not going to let me mix you, I'm out of here, deal with like my long range poke. You get to do that. Also, if you're looking for some shenanigans, the EX Rekka is only a single hit, but on hit or on block, it creates that little cloud that has the projectile. So basically, if you want to just kind of commit to that, okay, you get free pressure afterwards. Because I got the hit in, knock you down, and now there's a projectile coming your way, so it makes that guess overhead, guess low a lot scarier yet. And just to know her throw. So her throw is actually a very low damage throw, but it does create a capture state. So she can actually just kind of do combos afterwards. So her effective throw damage is a little bit higher than the rest of the cast, depending on how inventive you get. Or if you want to go crazy, keep in mind, this is certainly not an optimal route or anything, but you can dump all your meter behind it, like all 7 bars. And that's a pretty tasty throw. But yeah, so now let's talk the support characters. So Master Paku basically makes her flow stuff just a lot better. So her just general flow movement is just faster, which is great. Also, the Rekka, the EX Rekka, that becomes flow cancelable, which means now basically thanks to the fact that you can do this, you get new combo routing, right? Like you can just do stuff you couldn't do before, which is very nice. Now, say we got old Gran Gran. Gran Gran is interesting because she lets water whips cancel back into stance. So I can whip you, go back into stance. Now, it takes flow to do so, but at minimum, it means you got new combo potential because now that low poke can combo into the mid poke because you're just canceling back into itself, giving you more effective damage. Also, aerial water whips also cancel into each other now as well. So they did not before. It needs Gran Gran to do this. This also means besides going to stance, keep in mind, like say heavy stance has an attack first. And since heavy attack just kind of puts me back into stance anyways, I can keep attacking again after the fact, right? So you can just kind of get some big damage off the whips. And Hadoka just kind of makes her projectiles better. So one, now instead of having your aerial angle chosen for you, you can choose if you move forward or backwards. Giving you like new arcs makes a lot of this just kind of a lot better just in general. Because now you don't have to give up ground if you don't want to. And you can just keep attacking. Also, you can now toss 2 of these guys at the same time before you hit the ground, making just the space control that much better. And that means you can toss 1 projectile and 1 delayed projectile as well, just to kind of keep the screen just kind of filled with trash. So Katara is definitely more technical than a lot of the rest of the cast. But if you're interested in someone a bit more technical, she's the right lady. Okay, so now Toph. Toph is a big body character. Now, yes, she's a small girl, potentially the smallest character in the game, but don't confuse it. She's a big body character and she would not have it any other way. She's dripping with super armor. Super armor is when you turn green. She turns green a lot. Also, thanks to changes from the most recent beta to launch, she's also a grappler now. So she has a basic throw like everyone does, except she can hold this throw that increases its range and damage, and also is not techable anymore, making it a proper command grab. And say you have a support character like the Boulder, and we'll talk more about this later, but yeah, you can get some real damage off this actually, but we'll circle back to that. So rest assured, she's got super armor and above average grabs, and thus big boy confirmed, kind of cutting short. Now here's the thing. If you've watched the whole guide to this point, you've seen so many crazy characters, crazy movement, crazy everything. Toph got none of that. She can't run, she can only dash. She cannot cancel her dash into an attack. She can only cancel it into a jump. So her just grounded mobility is not great, and her air mobility is 0. No air dashes, no weird move, like nothing. She cannot deal with the air. Now, she has great jumping normals, like her jump medium punch is like a shotgun, basically. It's one of the best air-to-airs in the game. Her jump heavy punch is basically active from the second you press until you hit the ground, and can be either plus on block or cause a bounce. So basically no fancy movement. Well, okay, she can do a couple weird things that the rest of the cast cannot do. Let's put it that way, right? But the rest of the normal fighting game movement, she can't do none of this. So let's start at the start here before we get into any variation-specific talk here. So Toph is a gorilla child. So she has big charging shoulders. If you want to say go for the heavier version, it has super armor on the start of it. You better believe this is not safe on block. But if you just want to charge in, she can charge right in. And the enhanced version has even more super armor. If you want to do the quarter circle back series, you might notice the seismic effect, just like out of the show. And when the seismic effect finds you, then a pillar will explode from the ground. And rest assured, it can only find you if your feet are on the ground. So if you're airborne, it won't catch you. The heavier versions send out the shockwave faster. And if you hit the button again before it triggers, she'll instead cancel the move and kick a rock at a different distance. So the heavier the button, the further it goes. So basically, you have to aim it manually. And this is a true low, by the way. And the fun thing about this is it's always, no matter which one you pick, advantage on block. And in fact, since it has so many active frames, you can make them wake up into it and just get some ridiculous plus frames. In fact, if any of these connect, Toph always has the very slightest of advantage. It's not a lot, but it's always her advantage. So let it find the opponent manually, or do it early and kick a rock at him, or do it early, hit the button, but hold it. And if you hold it, same idea as you kicking the rock, but instead you'll get a full pillar at the destination. So if you kind of know where they're going to be before they're there, you can just skip the middleman and just naturally do it. And from there, you can just juggle the enemies. The easiest juggles in the game, just about. However, miss, and you're in a pretty big wind-up, and you're probably going to get your head kicked in. And then the enhanced version, it does the whole ring thing faster, except... oh. It's still there. It becomes a new wall, in fact. You cannot go past this point. Although, you can definitely break people through it. So normally at shoulder charge, it doesn't launch. However, if you shoulder charge someone through a rock pillar, then it does become a launcher. So it gets real scary because, pardon the pun, you put them in a rock in a hard place. Also, you can throw them into it and get even more damage. Specifically, if you throw them into it, it is a juggle start. You can get some pretty okay damage. And there's a lot of things, like say you whip someone into it otherwise. Like say, rock in a hard place, you can whip a rock at them, it'll bounce them off, and then they'll cause another juggle. Anytime you can just basically hit them into the rock, it'll explode the rock, you get a juggle. And much the same here, the enhanced version, you can also detonate it early. Just hit the button, and the rock will come out. Although, if you do that, the rock will not stay. It has to kind of trigger manually, if you will, to stay. All right, so that's core circle forward, core circle back. What about some stance stuff? So if you hit downflow, instead of low profiling like everyone else, stop. Toph ain't doing that. Toph ain't here to low profile. She's here to tank the hit. And when I mean tank the hit, I mean tank the hit. Like, look at this here. So multi-hit barrage. Now we're taking all of it. So here's how this works. So Toph turns green, bright green. When she's bright green, she has hyper armor. That means she will basically take an infinite amount of hits. Takes a second to go off though. So she's just regular green at the start, only turns bright green when she holds it for a moment. Now to note though, the hyper armor is specifically because of the boulder. The boulder likes his armor, but she always has one hit of armor at minimum when doing this. And beauty here is she can do moves out of this. Like she can do a big old stomp. That's just hit light. You hit medium, she does an armored charge. You hit heavy, she'll do a pillar. And here's the thing, that pillar, the longer you hold it, the further up you go. And she can whip rocks in all sorts of directions. She can jump off of it. It does combo. And you can definitely combo the opponent while you're in the air. In fact, for things like corner combos, highly recommended even. Because you can just do some cool stuff. And depending on the variation, even cooler stuff yet. And the thing is about her flow is her flow stuff's weird. Like back flow, again, it doesn't move her back. In fact, it brings you, rather the enemy to you against their will. Which is fun. So say if you add some terrain to the match, you can also bring that new wall right to you as well. So it's less you chasing them down, it's you bringing them to you, and they can't actually do much about it unless they're airborne. Again, that's kind of the big thing with Toph is if they're in the air, they're immune. Well, not fully immune, but they are less at risk to getting earth-bended. And she has even more armor yet, so there's a unique special only for flow, cortical forward flow. And she'll just take hyper armor, the bright green infinite armor, and she'll just do a big stomp that just hits the entirety of the screen. So like if you just need the match over now, they have barely any life left, and they're just anywhere to be hit, this will hit just about everywhere on the screen. And for the supers, I want to mention her supers just because they're a little bit different than the rest. So her 4-bar super is a big old projectile. The thing is, it's actually much worse in the corner. So if it happens to be in the corner, you'll still get some damage. But like, look at that, 144 versus mid-screen here. You get over 200 because it just can't get all the hits in the corner. By design, by the way, it's not a bug. So when you are doing super combos, you try to want to keep them mid-screen to maximize your damage. Also, the level 7. So the level 7 is a true command grab. So if this happens and you're beside her and the flash happened, it's already too late. You're grabbed. And that is 500 damage. So this is half of most characters' life, if not more than half for some characters. She just teaches you the secret of metal bending, which is a fist to your face. So if she has 7 bars, watch out badly. Like, she doesn't have the best command grab. She has to charge one with a hell grab, which is a little slower. It's not like, say, Ozai or something. But Ozai ain't hitting for 500 in a single hit. So Toph with 7 meters, please watch out because you're potentially one hit away from game over. Now to mention, go back and just armor. So she has Stand Heavy. Stand Heavy's single hit armor. This is one of the best moves in the game. It's not the safest on block, but it has a hit of armor. It's a combo starter, and to that point, a lot of her best combos come from this. It's one of the best anti-airs in the game, and it's just a blessing all in all. Like, you can just toss this out and just kind of see what happens. Also, a fun little trick here. So her heavy attacks, no matter what, always do chip damage. So only the heavies, but still, that means if you're just looking to, scam out a win and get some chip damage, all of her heavy attacks will always do chip on top of her specials doing chip. So it's just another way to get some damage in. And now let's talk her support characters. So first, the boulder. The boulder basically turns Toph into your classical big boy archetype beyond what she already has. So that held grab leaves them closer to you. So specifically, you can get follow-ups. So we just mentioned here earlier, you can do this, do a super, whatever, and get some pretty tasty damage. But if you're willing to spend a little meter. All right, so if we spend some meter here, get our pillar up, break him through the pillar, hit him on the other end, And then there you go. Like that's over 300 damage. That's a lot. That's a command grab, right? And then again here, we got hyper armor on our downflow stance, and our forward flow and our back flow also gain armor. So if we're like trying to pull them against our will, we can armor through it. If we're just trying to bulldog our way through, we can just do flow and armor through it. So basically more armor and a very, very scary grab. Hippo's very interesting because he's all about using the pillar. So his pillar is just better, basically. 1, you can do things out of the pillar faster. 2, you can move the pillar. And that is very interesting because at minimum, it becomes like a mobile zoning platform, I guess, if you want to use it that way. Or just be on the ground and do short hops, like whatever. And also it affects your combo structure. Basically, if you happen to be using the Hippo, your basic B&B combo structure is a little bit better because you can utilize a lot of like the bounces off the rock mid combo and just do a lot of interesting things. Because just this by itself just lets you do combos you can't otherwise do because you get to move forward and raise yourself up while doing it. If you're Badger Mole, this is kind of the one that helps your neutral. So for one, when you're doing like the kick rock move, it has like double the width. It is way bigger. So if you're not great at aiming it, it's just literally twice as easy to hit. Like it'll always hit from full screen with the heavy. The medium one takes up like 50% of the screen. It's actually very difficult to miss with the medium one anyway. Like it just, that's nice, right? Also, when you seek out the seismic part of the rock. So now you can hold it and flow cancel out of it, basically letting yourself do a quick little hop. Like say the opponent blocks my whole string here, right? I could do that, but now instead, oh, I just hit you with a cross up. I can do that because it basically makes anything I could special cancelable. It just effectively makes it jump cancelable. So you can kind of do some really tricky, dirty stuff with that. It gives her some agility, mobility the character just otherwise does not have. Also, only in Badger Mole, once you send out the seismic sight and you just hold the flow button, she'll just keep redoing it over and over. And actually, this is kind of useful in a couple ways. Because it basically cancels your recovery, it lets you go into it again and then get a second pillar. So let me use an example with Enhanced Pillar. So normally Enhanced Pillar is good. Also, the pillar, just because follow the pillar, it's a lot bigger, better, right? So that's nice. But Enhanced Pillar, and from Enhanced Pillar, because I'm canceling my recovery, I can do a secondary pillar. That are a little bit different than before, right? The combo structure is different. Obviously, I can keep following up from there. So it kind of works out like how much utility do you want versus how much combos do you want? The boulder has no combos other than big grab, and it has more super armor, sure, right? Badger Mole's got a lot of utility, helps your neutral out a lot, just with your pillars being better, the fact that your lows are better, and Hippo is just kind of like the ultimate combo monkey because just having the big ride that you can move around just makes everything easier for combos, right? So choose your own adventure. All three I think are very valid, although my heart definitely lies in Super Armor Land. And that is the roster for Avatar Legends, the fighting game here at launch. So hope you enjoyed the video. If you can leave a like, again, that helps out so much. If there's a character you're looking for that's not here, like say some of the DLCs come out like Uncle Iroh or Lin Bei Fong, just search for them on the channel. I'm sure I'll have guides or coverage on them in one way or another. But yeah, I think this game is very interesting. I love the fact that each character is completely different from each other. There's no Shoto. There's like no Ryu, Ken, Akuma that all sort of play the same. Everyone's an island unto themselves, and then you add the support cast, the variations that make them play all the different yet on top of that. And I think it's just really crazy, and I love it. It's great. So I think this is a pretty cool game. I hope you enjoy it. And that said, my friends, that's it for me, and that's it for the video. So thank you very much for watching. Hope this video has found you well, and go out and play some Avatar.
This is the love making.